Social media masked identities. Social media is defined as various websites and applications for networking. One can use these resources to create, upload, and share content to people all over the world. In the case of social media, users have the ability to create profiles to give background information about themselves, post their ideas about any topic, communicate between people they know, don't know, and ones who they would like to get to know. Over the years, social media has broadened its horizons, allowing various ways to communicate, such as direct messaging, sharing photos, posting statuses, and tweets. Because so many individuals have the ability to use social media, there happens to be certain norms that one feels they have to fit into. The way one identifies themselves, such as gender, race, ethnicity, and sexual orientation, can be affected by the norms of society and the users of social media. These norms could make one feel guilty of the real them, not good enough, like they have to change their way of life, but could also be a gateway to freedom of their identity. Also, because one can define social media as a life behind a computer, cell phone, or other device, one can pose to be someone they really aren't, enabling one to create fake profiles and live a second life. Ultimately, social media's effects on its users can cause problems with identity, but also create a way for its users to freely express themselves in the world of networking. When one begins the setup process of a social media account, they will create a profile which mainly includes a profile picture, their name, date of birth, and where they are from. Other networks may ask to include their user's relationship status, occupation, personal hobbies, interests, favorite books, and favorite quotes. In this process, the user creates their online identity. One can choose to be truthful and make the account a projection of who they truly are, or choose to characteristically create someone else. Roger Scruton, a philosopher, critic, novelist, essayist, and a poet who is a scholar at the American Enterprise Institute, wrote an article named Hiding Behind the Screen. Scruton writes, "For by placing a screen between yourself and the friend, while retaining ultimate control over what appears on the screen, you also hide from the real encounter, denying the other the power and freedom to challenge you in your deeper nature and to call you here and now to take responsibility for yourself and for him." The users have the ability to create whoever with whatever gender, race, ethnicity, and sexual orientation in a profile on social media accounts. Realistically, no one knows who the user really is, which is why one chooses to hide behind another's identity. The reasons behind one creating a fake profile could go on, but one who despises their real identity is unarguably one of the major reasons. Today, a television show called Catfish the TV Show was originally made to help people who sparked a relationship on social media meet in person. Most of the time, the relationship between the two people wouldn't last because of a fake identity through social media. One opposes to be someone they're not, stealing one's pictures and other information from a real profile and making a fake profile with that information. In an interview written by Christina Radish, the host of Catfish the TV Show, Yaniv Shulman says, "In many cases, if Skype is an option, someone finds an excuse or way to avoid using it because they are hiding their identity in some way. A lot of people that we are meeting are young people, and they are excited about the relationship. They are so happy that someone has taken such an interest in them, be it on Facebook or Vampire Freaks or whatever website they might be using. They don't want to lose that, so they are willing to forego what would seem to be totally obvious things that one would want in communicating with someone that often. Part of it is overcoming the fear of possibly losing something that you are so happy about having." This show is a great example to explain how and why people feel the need to not be the person they truly are on social media. One could feel more comfortable posing as another behind the screen to make up for things lost in reality, such as relationships, friendships, or people that make one feel cared for and loved. It shows how people in our everyday lives change their identities just to feel or be accepted by another. The norms that social media and society have brought about can greatly affect one's views, how one views their self and their self-esteem. These norms can either have a negative or positive effect on users of social media. They are defined as rules that define what is considered to be normal and appropriate. Some of the norms include girls who wear makeup, girls who have a thin stomach with thick thighs and a big butt, boys who are built, working out, being fit, fashion, drugs, sex, and money. If one can relate to a norm, they may feel like they have to change their ways, which could make one take on a trait or identity of society and social media. Julie L. Ansanger, a professor from the University of Tennessee School of Journalism and Electronic Media, is the author of an article called Research Directions in Social Media and Body Image. Ansanger writes, research over the years has left little room for doubt that traditional media images of ultra-thin young women and extremely muscular men play a part, however small, however varied, across the affected populations in perpetrating body dissatisfaction. This could result in one developing a low self-esteem and self-hate. I do not agree with the norms of social media because of that reason. It can cause one to think that they have to fit in with everyone around the world because everyone is doing it and it's considered normal. Since the users of social media have and still advertise the ideal body for men and women, some have their body altered to look like the ideal bodies that are advertised. With the help of plastic surgery, altering one's physical identity is possible. Norms could always make one feel as if they aren't pretty without the use of makeup, fat because they aren't as thin as others, not cool because they don't have sex, use drugs, and aren't rich. All of these things could lead to one changing their identity because of the influence of social media. However, not all norms badly affect social media users. Some users see them to feel better about themselves or feel comfortable with who they are after seeing that will motivate one to be better, to be a better, healthier person. Yes, one could still change who they are to be more like someone else, but it could be for the greater good. Ansanger writes, the young women using social media to obtain information and encouragement, the inspiration, regarding weight loss may inadvertently be exposed to a more diverse and potentially positive set of messages about the body than they would via traditional media. Seeing thin people on social media could motivate a heavier person to lose weight, eat healthy, and build their self-esteem. Yes, social media users regularly fantasize thin people, but they sometimes ensure that being heavier is okay too. Cyberbullying can also have a huge effect on one's identity. Cyberbullying is defined as communication on the internet to intimidate a person or make a threat to nature. This affects teens more than anyone because teens are still struggling to find their identity and always feel the need to have reassurance from others. The cyberbullies can bully one for a range of things, including their identity. This effect can potentially shatter one's identity by making one feel less as a person. It can cause one to change who they are to make their identity be what social media and the bully considers acceptable. This leads back to those who make fake social media accounts to be accepted as a person. Since one could experience being cyberbullied because of their identity, they could choose to identify as someone other than themselves to escape the harsh reality of being bullied because of who they are. Social media can also serve as a gateway to freely express oneself. No matter one's ethnicity, gender, race, or sexual orientation, social media provides ways to connect with others that relate to them. Since social media has a wide variety of users, it is easier to find people that are alike, can relate to each other, and give supportive advice to each other. Nautica Naja was one who is experiencing identity transition firsthand. It is the author of an academic journal called Gender, Romance, and the Internet. The creation of a non-binary person. Naja writes, I am a trans woman. I presented myself as a girl who was attracted to other girls. Even before then, I was already constructing an identity. I was building up Naja, whose aspirations, dreams, and hopes were entirely mine. However, her face, body, life, and story were an amalgam of fact and fiction, called from friends' lives, from books, and from every image resource I can find on the internet. As explained, Naja was able to build up her character, the actual person she wanted to be. She could create a new her because social media has no limitations to imagination. In a way, social media allows one to stretch their identities and build a new life virtually. Social media is accepting to anyone. It's the users that reject or accept the users. Creating oneself and their identity on social media also plays a huge part in in virtual worlds and virtual relationships. It's basically like creating a profile for oneself, but one can create an actual character, shaping its identity in any way. This idea of virtual worlds help one escape the ideas of reality and be themselves for someone or someone they really wish to be. Cynthia Jones, a Pan American who is also a professor of philosophy at the University of Texas, wrote an essay named Lying, Cheating, and Virtual Relationships. Jones writes, for those who have never encountered a virtual online world, Linden Labs' Second Life and Blizzard's World of Warcraft each claim to have more than 12 million subscribers worldwide. And World of Warcraft has servers in many different countries. Millions of people around the world may not realize how big of an impact social media has on one's identity, or how many people around the world use social medias like Second Life and World of Warcraft. In Nada Kanaja's story, she actually took her first steps in creating her new life and identity on social media. One may find it quite insane how one can create a new life and identity through virtual worlds and social media. Others find it to be a sense of relief to be able to express who they really are and seek to be. Essentially, social media has various effects on its users in terms of their identity. It can help one express themselves and virtually create the person they've always wanted to be. With that, social media can bring about fraudulent pages, shaping oneself to fit the norms of social media, catfishing, and sometimes cyberbullying. Identity is something that one using social media should feel comfortable about and should protect. One shouldn't feel the need to change themselves because of what another posted on their timeline or because of the norms that society and social media have created. One should feel free to express themselves and feel comfortable in their own skin or profile in the case of networking.